So guys, welcome back to the good old Southern IA. My voice is failing along with these crops around here. These our weather conditions here have not been favorable to us, and tonight I think we're going to kind of just go look at some crops. I'm going to show you the good and then the bad on the corn, and also give you a couple of life update things, where we've been going, things like that. Sorry about the draggly voice. And then on the top of it, I've always wanted to basically do a video kind of talking about crop insurance and how crop insurance works, especially in my neck of the woods. For young guys like me, it doesn't work the best. It's actually, it's really not good. So it kind of, when I hear people say, oh, farmers, they have crop insurance or whatever, it kind of rubs me a little bit at the wrong way. Some farmers it does work out really good for, but for me down here, it really doesn't. But YouTube wise, why has there been no YouTube videos, Molly?
Because we got married. Yeah,
that's one reason, is that I have been, or had been, extremely busy getting ready for a wedding. So we have had a wedding. We have been hitched, and but since we're about 3 weeks behind. Since then, I've gone to Boone and back, and then we went to Assumption, Illinois, to GSI, which you guys will see here in a couple of videos, to a plant tour, and back. And then I ended up in Des Moines for a little while, and back. And then we went to Branson and back, and I feel like there was somewhere else that I traveled. Oh, and then I went to Burlington and back. So I've been on the road quite a bit. So actually, in driving around looking at the crops around in Iowa, they actually don't look too bad compared to kind of nestled into this little area. So the internet thinks that Southern Iowa is abnormally dry. They're calling us abnormally dry, and that's wrong. We are extremely dry. We did get a little bit of rain coming in there, actually the Friday before our wedding, and you guys will see that in the video. It ended up being 0.25 of an inch, but we have not had a rain on this corn since it pollinated, and we have had 100+ degree days consistently. That's just absolutely taking the wind out of this corn. I'm surprised actually how good this corn does look for the conditions that we've had. But the issue when you get no rain is that nitrogen can't move very good up in the plant, nutrients can't move up into the plant, and then the plant just runs out of go-to juice. I mean, it's ridiculously dry. There's cracks absolutely everywhere. You can still see pollen on the ground. I'll just pull an ear, and this is some of the first planted corn, and I'll look for a good ear. Let's look for a good guy. This guy should be a good one. He doesn't have a neighbor, so we'll pull an ear here. This corn here is some of the first planted corn. It's on flat, decent ground. Feel it out. Thank you. So there's an ear. It's about as big as my hand is. And the sad thing about this is that this is really a crop that could have been. Things were looking fantastic. Granted, am I happy with what's here on the conditions that we've had? Yes, absolutely, because it could be way, way, way worse than this. Break it for me, please, or count how many along it is. 32, but you can see they're aborting back. And I got a feeling they're going to keep aborting back here for quite a while until we get there, and it's already dented. Ow, you stabbed me. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 around by 32. But look at the size of those kernels compared to my thumbnail. Itty bitty kernels.
Why are they so red?
That's the bees wings, huskies parts that you see floating around all the time. It's just connective tissue. I can go around and I can go show you a spot that looks that's good. Like that's going to be our good corn this year. That's the way that one's going to be. Crop insurance. So when people comment like, oh, you got a crop failure, you're going to be just fine, you'll get rich off of crop insurance or whatever. Crop insurance is not designed for that. Crop insurance what their goal, I believe, with crop insurance is to make it so that if you have a drought, a bad drought, or you have a thing like a derecho or a big hailstorm, is that basically that makes it so you can pay your bills and farm the next year. Because you got to understand that like 1.5% of the population feeds like 330 million Americans and then some other people too. So the government really can't have farmers going bankrupt or, you know, not having the money to pretty much grow a crop the next year. So they have to have crop insurance. Not only do they do it because of that, but this stuff behind me, the way that I can equate that is like, that's our oil, you know, that's the Midwest oil. If you look at towns that their economy is based around oil, it's the crops around here. It's the corn, it's the soybeans, it's the cattle guys that pump all this money into these small communities, and we got to keep that around. And so by having crop insurance, it's kind of the way that the government protects not only the farmers, the food source, but also the small economies in these rural areas, because we got to have the funds to be able to grow next year and pay our bills. So how does crop insurance work? And this is where you can kind of start to walk a line of maybe making some people mad or not saying the right things, but I can just tell you how it works for me. And am I the happiest with the crop insurance and the way it works? No, but that's probably because it doesn't work the best for me. I farm in probably 2 of the poorest counties in Iowa. Our APH, which is the annual production history based over 10 years, is 147 or so, something like that for the county. So we'll round up to like 150. Just so that people can't say that I undershot it, we'll just say 150. Now granted, so that means that you grow corn 10 years, your average is 150 bushels the acre. The issue is that we don't grow corn on corn. We go corn, soybeans, corn, soybeans. So realistically, we have numbers from 20 years ago. I haven't even been farming 20 years, and I've got numbers from 20 years ago that are in my insurance history. So that means that corn 20 years ago isn't the type of corn that we can grow now. But anyways, that's kind of a sidebar. The annual production history for our area is 150. We'll just go with 150. So I'll overlay the numbers right here as I do this math to kind of explain this to you. So to get your crop insurance, which you can take different levels of crop insurance, and we're going to use 80% crop insurance, and we're going to go with the base level stuff because there's things that you can stack on there and it gets pretty complicated, and there's a lot of classes and meetings about crop insurance, and it makes sense for a lot of people that have higher annual production histories because they have higher guarantees. But we're talking about our area down here in southern Iowa, and where the making lots of money off of crop insurance isn't really a thing. So if your annual production history is 150, you can take a percentage of that. You can't take the whole 150 without buying all the way up there. That costs you a lot of money. But anyways, we'll go to 80%, which is kind of where people will walk around and kind of talk about. 75, 80% gives you a guarantee of 120 bushels to the acre. So with 120 bushels to the acre, what that means is, so you basically have a bushel guarantee, and then in the spring they'll set a spring price, and then in the fall there'll be a fall price, but you also get a revenue guarantee. This year the revenue guarantee was $5.90, which is high because of where the prices were been. So 120 bushels times $5.90 is $708 is what basically I can insure myself to for revenue per acre by paying a premium. So now you're sitting there and thinking, okay, that's great, and this is a good year to do this example on because it's actually a year that you can about insure yourself to cover your cost of production. So Iowa State says that without land cost, it should cost somewhere around $550 an acre to grow an acre of corn this year. So minus 708 minus 550 is $158. So basically what the $158 means is that you have $158 to pay land rent and then to live off of as well. So good luck with that if you're going to say you're going to get rich off of crop insurance. Now let's walk this backwards, because my bushel guarantee does not change all that often. It doesn't change at all. Like I said, it takes 20 years to move up my APH, and without having a bad year in there. Sometimes they'll let you exclude a year if it was drastic conditions, but most of the time you're looking at bushel guarantees or a revenue guarantee. Let me just look one up. Let me, 2017 it was 397. 2018 it was 396. 2019 it was $4. 2020 it was 388. So let's just use $4 here. So, for instance, 120 times 4 is 480. Now granted, you can bring that all the way back down to, let's just say prices have inflated a little bit, and let's just say you can actually grow a crop for $480. So what that means now on our crop insurance wise, for us down here in Southern Iowa and for young guys like me, is that pretty much my crop insurance for what I pay for can basically insure the crop to grow it. So whatever I pay in cash rents and stuff like that is pretty much what money I can lose before I actually get insurance brought in. So if I'm ever collecting insurance, I'm losing so much money on the front end of that there is no getting rich off of crop insurance. So the next time you hear somebody say that, just no, it's absolutely not true.
So like what happens if you harvest this corn, like you have your crop insurance, right? When do you have to decide that you're using your crop insurance?
So your crop insurance is basically decided after you have to report your yields.
Okay. So if you report a yield over their guarantee, you don't
You
get
get no
anything.
payment whatsoever. So you don't get a payment, no.
So like at their guarantee or over, you're not getting anything.
Nope, yeah, at their guarantee or over, you're getting nothing. So like for instance, if this corn comes in at 135, 140, which is
Plausible.
very plausible this year, there'll be no payment on that. This corn has to go under 120 for it to get there. Now flip that script here and talk about how I think it's kind of broken the opposite way. So say somebody farms up in some of the really good dirt in Iowa or central Illinois, and they have a guarantee of 198 bushels to the acre. And they can take, or their APH is 198, and they can take 80% of that. So they've got a guarantee of $935-ish an acre. Subtract the 550, $384 an acre is what they have to be able to basically cover land cost and live off of. So it is possible for people to pretty much make money off of crop insurance. I think it's broken both ways. Broken where they can make a lot of money off of crop insurance, and broken where it basically can't cover our butts down here. That's where I also think it's broken. And if we really wanted to go in my nitpicky things on it too, is that crop insurance is basically like a blanket coverage no matter about what you do. For instance, say somebody plants the latest technology when it comes to the seed corn with as many traits to protect them as they can, or the guy that applies a lot of fertilizer versus the guy that doesn't apply fertilizer, the guy that applies fungicide that doesn't apply fungicides, you know, things like that. They're going to insure those two farmers exactly the same, except for one of them's really doing everything they can to grow a great crop, and the other one's just kind of doing what they can to grow a crop. So I think it's also broken that way, but nothing's perfect. It's what we've got, just so that you guys know that when the next time you hear somebody say, oh, they'll be fine, it's not all peachy, and it's not only us that the crop insurance is protecting, it's the communities that we live in too. All right, guys, we'll go look at some soybeans.
Lolo, you can talk now?
Bree, are you coming in? So I showed you guys the first field of corn that we planted. I'm now showing you the first field of beans that we planted. For rain, I don't know if rain's really going to help out that corn. It's not going to hurt it, obviously, but it might be able to put a little more test weight into the corn, stop some more of the tip back, but I don't think that there's going to be any recovery by any means. The damage is kind of already done. If we could stop the damage, I think that's what would happen if we catch a rain with that corn. For soybeans, I still think we can have some good soybeans. I showed you guys the first field of corn that we planted. Now I'm in the first field of soybeans that we planted. I'll just reach down and grab a bean real quick, pull it. Come on. Woo, taproot buddy! So soybeans, I'm happy with my soybeans in the way that they're looking right now. I mean, there's no like 4 pods on there, but we got 3 pods, but there's no beans in the pods yet, you know? So we got a lot of beans that need to be developed here. And I honestly think we're in the beans life where if we can catch a rain, which we maybe have rain coming tomorrow night and then into next weekend too. Yeah, but we need the rain. We might be able to still make some soybeans. So corn yields, we might have some soybean yields higher than some of the corn in places. So corn's pretty much toast for us around here, by the way that I see it, you know, and by toast, not what we wanted it to be this year, especially with the good crop prices, and the way the corn looked to begin with, looked really good. Just a bummer, that's farming. We'll have to sharpen the pencil.
Ah!
Molly will have to stay away from a grasshopper. We'll make it work. We might have to push out a couple of plans. That's just the unfortunate parts of not knowing how much money you're gonna have at the end of the year after shelling out a whole bunch of it. So that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. And get you guys kind of caught up. We'll see you 2 weeks ago in the next video. Plant tour coming up. Married man. See you in the next one. Oh man, should I show them all the embarrassing videos that I took during our mini moon of you as the
What
outro?
are you talking about?
Like the snake,
Oh.
and of like the one where I scared you
When did you scare me?
on the pier.
Oh.
Your golfing skills.
My golfing skills are peak.
I don't know about that. Roll them.
Right here! Stop it! Get closer.
What?
Quit!
What? What?
Stop.
What?
You're the worst. I'm gonna divorce you.
Here, snake.
Don't you dare! Oh my god.
What, was that bad?
You're the worst.
Look, we go on vacation together. We go see snakes.
Why